similarly in the mid-151s. It was a 151.5 for Gorostiza, 151.6 for Garcia, 151.7 for Traverson. So 8 minutes to go at this point in time, 8.5 minutes. And Pereira still leads now by 9/10 of a second. In fact, actually on the last lap, Garcia managed to pull back about 3/10 of a second. He's done it again in the first sector. So Pereira's not being allowed to get away with this, and they are both dropping Manuel Alves at this point. So very important at this time, 8.5 minutes to go. For those who might be watching on the live stream and have missed the first half of the race, apologies for that. 1 or 2 slight technical hitches, but we're still on where we're at. Dylan Pereira leads the way from pole position. It's now second place for Borja Garcia. There was an early scrap between the stalemate between the first 3 cars. But in this last few laps, Borja Garcia has managed to pull in Dylan Pereira, the former Porsche Super Cup champion. He's not being allowed to get away too much, so Garcia is right there, less than a second behind Pereira as they turn through and another lap. We had 6 laps in the books. We're on lap 7 of this race with about 8 minutes to go. And it is third place for Manuel Alves, who's dropped back a little bit. He was the race 1 winner from yesterday. He won led every single lap and won the race by about 8 seconds. And Garros back in 4th position, Ramirez in 5th, Gorostiza in P6. And it's 7th place for Garcia, 8th for Traverson, 9th for the number 41 Porsche with Felipe Nascimento at the wheel. And in the 991 category, it is the lead for Chloe Grant. She leads in car number 36. She took the lead after passing Hugo Asensio for a few laps. And off the road has gone car 11 by the looks of it. I think that's Ferreira in the number 11 machine. And that's the car that he shared this weekend with Alexandra Fonseca. And that car stationary, and it's down at turn 3, so there'll be yellow flags down there. No overtaking. Now the engine's running, but either he can't find a gear or he's trying to find a gap in proceedings because that car's still not moving. I can hear it in the background that the engine's going. You can see that the lights are on. No movement, which is quite fascinating. Now, what's also fascinating is that Garcia is getting right onto Pereira's tail. He's pulled another couple of tenths on the last lap. Again, finding 2 more tenths in the first sector. So Garcia is really turning up the wick here. And he's right on the tail of Pereira as they come down towards turn 9. Just over 6 3/4 minutes to go. Down towards this very tight right hand, and one of many on this circuit. And you can visibly see how close Garcia is getting. He really is going for it here. Garcia, who does have a sprint race victory. He did pick one up at Portimao. And ever since, the sprint races that he has done, it's pretty key. Now, this is a replay of what happened to Ferreira in car number 11. Round they went. Just a rotation down towards turn 3. It's a very tricky braking zone because you go flat through turn 1 at about 150 miles an hour. And then it's into turns 2 and 3 where you start trail braking. And concerningly, the number 11 car still hasn't moved. So whether it was something that locked up on the rears or something that went wrong with mechanically, either way, it looks as though that's an issue for the 11 car. And safety car has been deployed. Now then, safety car is out with 6 minutes to go plus 1 lap. That's a different dynamic. So this might be a blessing in disguise for Dylan Pereira, because depending on how long it takes to get the number 11 car going again, this could well be very interesting. It says now yellow flags, but we're under 4-course yellow. So are we safety car or are we full course yellow? Because it did flash up on the screen safety car. So I wonder if in actual fact we've gone to a full course yellow. And no, safety car in fact definitely is out. You can see it there on the screen. Number 11 car, it must be some kind of a mechanical issue that's caused that car to lock up and not have any drive, because I could hear it idling in the background, but either they just didn't have any drive, or they couldn't select any gears, or just they couldn't get the car properly fired up to get it rolling again. Either way, the number 11 car stationary down at turn 3. It's in a position where if you're approaching quite fast, it could be in a dangerous position. So that car will have to be quickly grabbed by the rescue unit, the Sport Vision rescue units out there in Spain. Gives us a chance now to just assess where we are with this race then, with 4.5 minutes to go on the clock. Also, Dylan Pereira leads the way as he has done from pole position. It's Borja Garcia in second place. This brings Manuel Alves back into play here, because he's now got a chance to keep on toes on the top 2 on the restart when we get underway. I'm going to have the confidence that we will, because if we can quickly get the number 11 car back and get it disappeared and out of the way, certainly we can get going again just before the end of this race. And of course, remember, when the timer hits 0, that's not the end of the race. We have plus 1 lap. So on the lap it hits 0, they'll go across the line, do 1 more lap, and the next time they cross the line is when they'll take the checkered flag. Now, if they can remove this car quickly enough, they might only be under safety car pretty much for a lap. But we'll see what the procedure is here. It might well be a pretty rapid sprint finish. And that could all depend on how good a restart Dylan Pereira gets. Also, how quickly Borja Garcia is on his toes and watches Pereira's restart. If he can stick close and use the pace that he's had in those last couple of laps before the safety car came out, and he was lapping a couple of tenths quicker, there's every chance that he can go off at the heist of the century here and steal the race victory underneath Dylan Pereira's nose. Let's just confirm the order under safety car with 3 minutes and change to go. It is Dylan Pereira who leads. Borja Garcia in second place. Manuel Alves is third. Fourth is Jose Barros. Fifth is the 88 of Jorge Ramirez. Then sixth is Aido Gorostiza. Seventh place is Daniel Garcia. Eighth place is Traverson. Ninth should be the number 41 that doesn't have a driver next to it, but I listed it's possibly Felipe Nascimento, I would presume. And then Chloe Grant, who leads the 991 category from overall, she's in 10th position. She's ahead as well of the 35 of Francisca Queiroz. So if she stays where she is, she might actually go ahead and take the Ladies' Cup victory. There is a Ladies' Cup in the championship. So I presume that it will be a victory for Chloe Grant in that category if she stays ahead of Francisca Queiroz. That just shows what kind of a talent she really is. Now, safety car's gone round, so I wonder if they're going to take them around for one more lap. It will depend possibly on how quickly they can get themselves around to finish this safety car lap. There's a couple of cars moving out of the line to keep themselves a little bit cooler. Of course, all these cars are rear-engined, rear-wheel drive, so all the cooling's right towards the back, but they can push some cool air through by getting out of line whilst they're keeping their tyre temperatures and pressures in good range. That will be beneficial. Rest of the order behind Francisca Queiroz. Hugo Inocencio is second in the 991 category. Third is the number 82, which has been driven by Pablo Hernandez. And then Brianna McDonald at the back of the field. She's having a respectable race. She's had a 1:57.866. So more progress for Brianna. She's had another 3 seconds in this race, which is actually pretty admirable. So considering that where she was in qualifying when she was doing 2 minute 8, she's made a massive amount of progress. Incredible stuff for Brianna. That's actually a really good progression rate to find that much speed and that much confidence in her first weekend in a Porsche 992 Cup car. And that's got the latest specification. That's having the ABS control it, give her a bit more power. I'm presuming if we've got on the clock here about a minute to go, minute and 15 seconds, this could turn out to be a one-lap shootout. Because when they cross the line, it's likely it's going to be one lap left. And following closely behind the safety car, Pereira will field around. Because when the safety car lights go out, the safety car will go off into the distance. Pereira will then start to back up. I think we are going to get a one-lap dash for the cash here at Navarra, the race 2 of Porsche Speed Challenge Iberica. Make this all the more fascinating. Driver just ticking down and down, but I'm confident we're going to get, I think, safety car lights out, which they are. So we are going to get a restart this time, and it is going to be a single lap to figure out who picks up Sprint Race 2 for Porsche Sprint Challenge Iberica. Is it going to be Dylan Pereira with a strong restart? Can Borja Garcia go with him? What about Manuel Alves? Can he make it 2 sprint races and capitalise on the 2 cars in front getting amongst each other? And what about the cars behind them? And is also Chloe Grant going to hold on to a 991 victory and also potentially the Ladies' Cup win as well? So the Porsche safety car makes its way off. Safety car lights out and extinguished. So this now gives Dylan Pereira the chance to back the pack up. He now becomes the safety car. He now decides when to restart this race. He cannot pass the safety car on his restart. So he has to leave enough of a gap with the car in front, let the safety car get away. And then with enough of a gap, so by the time it pulls into the pit lane, he can then push on. Okay, so it's picking up a little bit here, so Pereira is getting keen to restart very soon. They're all stacking up again behind the former Porsche Super Cup champ, and he's leaving it very late. They're all stacking up right behind him on the exit of the final corner, but on the point where he starts to punch the throttle, that's exactly what he goes for. So one lap then to decide who wins Sprint Race 2 of Sakista de Navarra at Porsche Sprint Challenge Iberica. Through turn 1 we go. Pereira, Garcia, Alves, Barros and Ramirez. That's the top 5 as they sweep through turn 1. On this restart, Pereira's wide. He's wide towards turn 3. Garcia had a look up the inside. Is that going to be the option he needs? Is that the opportunity that Garcia wants? Try and put the pressure on to turn it out through 3 and up through 4. One car running wide in the background. Can't quite catch exactly who that is, but one car hitting strife at not quite the same pace as it would have been on the restart. Now the leaders are coming up through 6 and 7, and look, you can see Garcia's right there. He's actually caught Pereira with that mistake off guard. Up through now towards turn 8, and the chance he's got here could be as close as he's ever been. There's also possibly a change for third on because Alves has got Barros right on his tail as they come out of turn 8. Down the back straight for the final time. Chloe Grant's gone around and had an issue. She was leading the Ladies' Cup and the 991 contest. So Chloe Grant out of the lead in both of those categories. And right to the back of the field. She's behind Brianna McDonald. So whatever happens to Chloe, she made a mistake as it did in Pereira. Pereira's held on to the lead down through turn 9. Garcia keeping with him on this restart. Alves is holding on to third place with Barros behind him in 4th. And turn out through turn 11. Now to the wiggling section of turns 12. Back into 13 and 14. Tight right-hander at 15, top of the corners to go, and I think Dylan Pereira, even though Borja Garcia is just as experienced, is going to have enough here to hold on for his victory here in this morning's second race. It will be, if he holds on for this one, a victory number 5 of the season. That includes the endurance races, because he has won 2 Enduros at Portimao and at Ponte Blanco. Borja Garcia is pushing everything he can, but they're coming into the final corner for the last time. Dylan Pereira punches the throttle to the line, takes the checkered flag, and will pick up victory in Sprint Race 2 here at Porsche Sprint Challenge Iberica, here at Circuito de Navarra. And the gap in the end at the line was... well, no, it wasn't, because there was a 5-second penalty. There's a penalty that's been applied to Borja Garcia. Now, admittedly, I've only just seen that on the timing screen. I was so focused on what was going on in the race. It's a 5-second time penalty for Borja Garcia. So, in the end, even though he finished the race half a second behind Pereira, it's 5.5 seconds. So, in actual fact, it's Pereira who wins. And even though Garcia is on the road in second place, he actually drops to 5th. Because Manuel Alves takes second place. It's then Barros for 3rd, Ramirez 4th, and Garcia drops to 5th with the penalty. I can only imagine that's for track limits, extending it a little too much. Dylan Pereira, actually, even if Garcia had passed him, that's actually a blessing in disguise, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Dylan Pereira then, victory in race number 2 of the weekend in the sprint. And looking backwards, a few more cars crossing the line. Alves 2nd, Barros 3rd, Ramirez 4th, and Garcia rounds out the top 5. Gorostiza takes P6, Daniel Garcia was 7th, Traverson is 8th, 9th is number 41, which I think would have been possibly Felipe Nascimento. Look at the results from Q2. And Q2, yes, it would have been Nascimento driving that car in the second race. And after the spin for Chloe Grant is Hugo Inocencio, who does take his second 991 class victory in the sprint after the mistake on that last lap on the restart from Chloe Grant. We didn't see exactly what happened, only saw that Chloe dropped backwards into almost the rear of the field. So it's 991 victory for Inocencio. 11th place was number 35, which is Francisca Quieros. She also wins the Ladies' Cup in her 992. It's then 82 of Pablo Hernandez is 3rd in the 2nd in 991 class. And Chloe Grant, despite the mishap, does still pick up 3rd, even though she's 13th overall. And she finished ahead of Brianna McDonald, so she managed to pass her on that last lap to regain the position. She'll be disappointed with that, but still, a podium is a podium, and it's good, strong points for her in the championship as well. For Dylan Pereira, business as usual for the former Porsche Super Cup champion. And of course, he's done plenty of racing in various Porsche championships. He was also 3rd in Carrera Cup Germany in that same season when he won the championship in Super Cup in 2022. He's also been a multiple-time class podium finisher in the 24 Hours of a Nürburgring, and done plenty of GT World Challenge, and also on top of that, some other Porsche Carrera Championships. There's probably a Porsche Championship maybe outside of potentially Carrera Cup GB that he hasn't done. So he's got lots of experience and using it to good effect. And he's been properly racing out there since about 2014, when it started back when he was racing the Central European Volkswagen Golf Cup. They did plenty in 2015. But the bright green number 17 roll its way towards the P1 board. There is Manuel Alves. Different board he's lining up to this time, but it's still second place for him. And that also maintains his record of in the sprint races where he hasn't finished off the podium in any of them. He's mimicked what he did at Portimao and at Valencia, picking up the win in race 1 and the second place in race 2. So strong results from Manuel to keep him in the mix for the championship. But of course, at the same time, he's been outscored again by Dylan Pereira. Into the third place spot comes the 77 of Jose Barros, not sharing with Nuno Batista this weekend, running solo. I think they're just doing some post-race weight checks to make sure that everything is all okay with the cars and they are compliant. As you can see, Manuel Alves climbing out. Like a nice little neat Sunday morning drive. There is number 1 Alves picking up second position. Just pulling in behind, I think should be in a second, our race winner. Alves gets the handshakes from his team. Impressive stuff from Manuel, and that battle for the 9 entity category is going to keep on rumbling all the way through to the end of the season. Of course, we've had the 2 sprint races here. The endurance race comes up next. That's a little bit later on in a few hours' time in the afternoon. 50 minutes. That will include a mandatory pit stop. And that will mean that any drivers that have 2 drivers in their field will have to obviously make a pit stop and switch those. A few more cars are pulled up behind them. And interestingly enough, we don't have Dylan Pereira. He hasn't actually pulled up in the P1 board. And I think Brian McDonald's Porsche is actually parked in the spot where he would come in. So I'm not quite sure how he's going to get there. Let's have to move one of those cars back. There's Jose Barros having a chat to his team. Pleased with the 3rd place finish. And Jose, again, more good points for him in the championship. But look at where he was when he came into the season, he came into the weekend in points. He was, looking at my standings, he was 5th in the points at 108, and he was just a couple of points behind Jorge Ramirez. Now, he's outscored him in this race because Ramirez was behind him in 4th, but Ramirez did finish ahead of him yesterday. So that means that it should be pretty even in terms of their scores. One driver that has dropped back a little bit, I think, is Andre Fernandez, because Fernandez was 3rd coming into the weekend. Fernandez is sharing with Dylan Pereira. I should have remembered that. So Fernandez has scored well in that first race, getting a top 5. Pereira is now, of course, taking his points. And I should, I think, have actually extended the gap by about a couple of points. So if we go into the endurance race, I would think that Dylan Pereira now is possibly about 10 points ahead of Manuel Alves now. And we're looking to try and capitalise on that, because Dylan will have to share that car with Andre Fernandez in the endurance race. Manuel Alves will be in that car solo. So key results for them. Again, I think we're all stood there wondering where Dylan Pereira's got to, because his car hasn't pulled in, and we presume all is well. But we'll quickly run through the results again as we come towards the end of our broadcast here. Again, forgive us for any technical difficulties that saw us miss the first half of the race. We managed to fix those and get them sorted, so bear with us. All should be fine for the endurance race later on this afternoon. And here's the highlights of what happened in race number 2 for the bits that you might have missed at the beginning. So at the start of the race, we'll talk you through it. Dylan Pereira immediately moved to the inside to defend from the front row man of Jose Barros and led the way through the first couple of corners. It was a clean start for the former Super Cup champion. And this would be the story of the race pretty much all the way through for most of it until the safety car. Everyone made their way off the line pretty cleanly, and at the end of the first lap, it was Pereira trying to pull away from both Barros and Alves. It was pretty much these 3 in a stalemate, although in the first few laps, after settling into the rhythm, Barros did start to find the pace to close. So it was Borja Garcia, forgive me. Borja Garcia did manage to get himself in there too. There was a spin for a number 11 car, Ferreira, down at the turn 3, and that brought out a safety car late on after Garcia was starting to close in on Pereira all the way through towards the end of that race before the safety car came out. Because of that, it meant we had to have a 1-lap dash for the cash. And even though it was a strong enough restart initially for Dylan Pereira, he made a mistake going through turns 2 and 3, and that just put him wide enough to put Garcia on his tail. But even though Garcia was right there with him trying to put the pressure on and even trying to snatch the victory, in the end, it would turn out to be all in vain, because as we found out as he came across the line, he had a 5-second penalty, which we could only presume is for track limits. That pushed him down to 5th position in the order. There's also good battling in the 991 class. And there you saw just in the background there what happened to Chloe Grant. She lost the back end going in towards turn 2. Because of that, she lost out on the victory both in the 991 category and in the Ladies' Cup. But she still picked up 3rd place in the category 2. It took her a few moments to get the car restarted, but she did eventually. But she lost out on both of those victories and had to settle for podium places instead behind the eventual winners. And despite the mistake for Pereira, Garcia's 5-second penalty meant that in the end, it didn't really matter. Pereira was going to go through and take the victory anyway on the one-lap dash for the cash. Took the win from Alves in second place and Barros in third. Ramirez picked up 4th, and Garcia with his 5-second penalty slipped from 2nd down to 5th on the podium, off the podium, 5.5 seconds off in the end on the timing screen. It was 6th place for Gorostiza, 7th for Garcia, 8th for Travason, 9th for Nascimento, and then P10 overall went to our 991 winner, which is Hugo Inocencio. From Queiroz in 11th place, Hernandez in 2nd place takes the 2nd spot in 991s, and then Chloe Grant, who had been on course for that, she has to settle for 3rd place in category, and I think also 2nd, the Ladies' Cup as well on top of that. We found our winner. Dylan Pereira has managed to pull in, and there he is chatting to the drivers, with the team. He's talking as if he's a little bit confused, maybe, as to what's going on, but he has pulled in, so we presume all is okay, but he doesn't seem happy. He sort of seems a little bit confused. I think honestly so are we, because it seems as though he's not quite sure what's going on. His car isn't present at the P1 board. He is smiling, so he seems to be okay. But we'll figure out if there's any changes to the result, if anything, which there shouldn't be, because there's been nothing coming up on the timing screen. Probably just cooling off and is happy. Either way, Dylan Pereira takes the victory in the 2nd sprint race of the weekend. And that will mean that it puts him and his teammate Fernandez in a good spot for the endurance race coming up in a few hours' time. So be sure to join us for that one on the Porsche Sprint Challenge Iberica channel as well. Fascinating race. Dylan Pereira takes the victory then, and it's also a 991 victory for the 2nd time for Hugo Inocencio. And we'll see if they can translate that into the 50 minutes endurance race coming up in a couple of hours' time. It's been great to have your company here on the Porsche Sprint Challenge Iberica YouTube channel. And, of course, we're looking forward to that. There's the winning car. It's been pulled into the pit there right now behind the P1 board. Took a while, but we finally got it. A bit of manoeuvring around to get it in. But thankfully, Dylan Pereira's car has now magically appeared behind the P1 board as rightful place where it should be. So all is well. And Dylan Pereira can celebrate that victory and give him good confidence for the race coming up later on. So, Pereira wins 992, victory for Inocencio in 991, 2 races down for the weekend, 1 still to go. The longest of the weekend, the 50-minute endurance race with a mandatory pit stop, is going to be all crucial. So be sure to join us for that later on. Thanks for your company on this stream. Congratulations to Pereira and Inocencio for their respective category victories. And from all of us here at Navarra, thank you for watching. For myself, Scott Woodward, and all of us involved. And we'll see you in a couple of hours' time for our final race of the weekend, the 50-minute Enduro, the Porsche Sprint Challenge Iberica, round number 4 in Navarra. But until then, enjoy the rest of your day so far. Join us later on, and we'll see you in a few hours' time. Bye for now.